By way of background and introduction, my name is Rahul Mahna, and I'm the partner in charge of the Outsourced IT practice. We have three mandates in our practice. The first is to connect our clients' IT systems. The second is to develop software solutions. And the third is to develop a cybersecurity resilience program for them. We found most of our clients right now are facing a really interesting dichotomy. If I can use a metaphor, think of a castle. So before COVID, everybody would come to work and they'd go to the castle. The castle had a wall, it had a moat, it had a drawbridge, it had windows, and all of those points of entry were fortified by the IT department. What's happened after COVID is everyone's working from home. They're working from Starbucks. They're working from various different locations. Now the IT department does not just have a finite amount of things to block and protect, they have an infinite amount of things to protect. And that's created a real stress in the department. It's created a stress in technologies. It's created a stress in know-how. And we're reaching a real difficult point where how do those IT departments sustain themselves and keep the business afloat? The current environment in the IT world is very tumultuous. We have many software systems, many IT systems that are being used by our companies. And the difficulty is all of those systems are creating cyber issues. It has become a tumultuous situation where it's become very difficult for the internal IT departments to support and update and maintain all of these systems. In a recent study by the US Chamber of Commerce, 93% of small and medium-sized businesses said that they use more than one software system. Out of those 93%, 86% said that they would have a difficult time operating if those systems were breached. Because of this dependency of small and medium-sized businesses on their IT systems, it's incredibly important to keep those systems up and alert and usable by all the members of their organizations. Without those systems in place, these businesses will fail, and they need to have proper attention to keep them up. In our practice of managing outsourced IT clients, we found that executives are really having a difficult time. How do you manage it? So last year we conducted a cybersecurity survey. The survey has not been released yet, but a few key factors have come out of it. The first is over 70% of executives found that they believe the next internal IT issue will come from within. So those internal employees need to be brought up to speed. The problem is there's so many issues that current IT department is managing that we found over 30% of those organizations still have not implemented a yearly cybersecurity training program. This has created a really difficult situation for those businesses. When I talk to many of our clients today, I say there's usually 5 warning signs they need to be attentive of when thinking about their IT. The first is, what's going on with their services? Are their services going up or down frequently? Have they been hacked? They should look at that and think about, are they really getting the right service that they need to run their business? The second is the business itself. Is it growing dynamically? Do they have the right team to support that kind of business growth? There's usually a paradigm that they need to look at to ensure that they have the capabilities to grow the way they want to grow. The next is technologies. Technology and the landscape's changing so much. Are they using the latest and greatest technology? They might not need to have some of the older technology, and they can combine some of those into one technology solution to give them a far better resilient idea and program how to run. The next is money. We often find our clients are looking at their money and saying, we're spending a lot on IT. Are we getting the most bang for a buck for spending that money? And maybe there's a better way to spend that money today. The final thing I ask them to do is look at your competitors. What are those competitors doing today? Are they using the best technology? Are they doing something more novel than you are? Your competitors sometimes have the answers that you don't, and you need to look at those to make sure you're operating the right way. So moving forward in the new year, I'm often asked, what's the best piece of advice I can give to an organization? You don't always have to go to an outside provider. You don't have to go always to an outside vendor. You could do a lot of the work inside yourself. And the biggest advice I tell people is to educate your employees. Over 80 to 90% of the hacking that happens is because an employee clicks an email. The clicking of the email is something that you just have to really help your employees. They have to learn, they have to be trained, and you have to find the right way. We often find that our clients get upset with their employees when they click on something, and let's call it just a phishing test. What we actually try to tell our clients is, why don't you incentivize your employees if they do a good job also. It doesn't always have to be reprimanded for doing something wrong. Give them a reason to do something right. Even if it's a $10 card to a coffee shop, if they did something really well, then you should encourage them to do that. And back to cyber, it's all about those emails. They'll have good cyber training where they can learn the email headers, they can understand what are bad, malicious content in an email, they can look at reply to addresses. There's so many ways that they can learn to do things just on their own with no intervention. It doesn't cost anything, but if they understand these little nuances, they can make a huge impact into the cyber resiliency program of an organization. The first thing every business should do every year is get a health checkup. We do it with our own person. I often recommend the business should do it for themselves. The best thing to do is get a cyber assessment done. Do it from a third party. A third party can look at your systems, look at your IT department, understand where the gaps are, and build you a really nice technology roadmap to help you prevent some of these issues I talked about right now, as well as what's coming next. And there's always something coming next. As the cybersecurity threat landscape has changed, it's really important to constantly evaluate your systems and tell your employees to. One statistic from a leading firewall vendor is showing there's 152,000 malware attacks that are being blocked every day just by that one vendor. So that really gives you some kind of perspective what's happening out there. It's really important to teach your employees it's okay to say something if they see something is wrong. The MTA New York does it really well. They say, if you see something, say something. It's a simple mandate, and I highly encourage our clients that they should tell their employees it's okay. If anything looks suspicious, tell your IT department. Oftentimes, the IT department doesn't know, and they'll rely on a third party, and that's okay also. Our practice constantly is putting out articles, information, new ideas that are coming out. So our practice can help educate your IT departments as well. Our website is filled with all of our blogs, our articles, our webinars that we're doing. We're always bringing in these experts as well, and so you'll have full access to a whole idea set that we can provide. We really appreciate you listening, and if you have any needs that we can help you with, feel free to contact us.